Start with today's delicious Gavarachi Bhaji recipe or cluster bean recipe. So here I've taken 200 grams of gavar, taken off the ends, and then with my hands itself I've just broken them up into half-inch pieces like this. And then I'm going to soak them in water for about 10 minutes and then give them a thorough rinse and keep them in a sieve or sift. Now I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of oil to a pan. And once the oil is nice and hot, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of mustard seeds or mori or rye. So this is a half teaspoon that I'm using. So I'm using 2 of them. That makes 1 teaspoon. Next goes in half a teaspoon of cumin seeds or jeera, half a teaspoon of asafoetida or hing, and half a teaspoon of turmeric powder or haldi. So this recipe doesn't have any kind of, no onions, no ginger, no garlic, no green chilies, just a very simple recipe. And now I'm going to add the gavar, which I rinsed really well and kept it in a sieve for about 5 minutes. Now watch the video till the end because I'll give you a little bit of tips on how to buy gavar when you're buying this cluster beans. Now mix the gavar really well with the oil and all the ingredients so that it flavors the gavar really nicely. And now this vegetable is enough for 4 people. If you want more, then you can double all the ingredients. And now we're going to add salt to taste. Now the reason I'm adding salt right now is because it helps to cook the gavar to the right consistency. And it even flavors the gavar really well. So we add we add salt at this point, not at the end. Like in some vegetables, when we're cooking them, we add salt later on, but for gavar, we add it first. And now I'm just going to put a plate on top of it, and I'm going to add some water to the plate. And our flame is going to be on low. And we're going to keep this for about 5 minutes without stirring. After 5 minutes, you will see that there are some bubbles on top of the lid. Now what you're going to do is you're going to lift up the lid extremely carefully, and you're going to put in about half of the water from the lid into the gavar and mix it well. So this will cook the gavar really, really well, and it won't be rough, and it won't be tough on to eat. It'll get cooked really nicely. And now we're going to keep this again for about another 2 to 3 minutes, and all of the water has evaporated. And now we're just going to season it with some other few ingredients. So now I'm going to add a little bit of a few ingredients. I'll just take you through them. So first goes in 1 teaspoon of red chili powder. Next, I'm going to add about 2 teaspoons of Goan Masala or Kala Masala. Now this is homemade Goan Masala or Kala Masala. So I'll leave a link to the recipe of how I make it. It's very simple. And now mix all of this really nicely together. Now you can see there's a little bit of liquid or water remaining. Most of it has evaporated. And now I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of jaggery or ghul, grated jaggery or ghul, and mix everything nicely together. And now we're just going to cover it and keep it for just about 1 minute. And that's it, guys. Now all you have to do is just add some lovely fresh grated coconut, about a teaspoon or so, and mix it in well. And the coconut is also optional. If you don't want to add the coconut, you can leave it out. And now mix everything well together, and your gavar bhaji is all ready. This is one of my favorites. So let's see today's dal recipe. Now here I've taken 1 cup of cooked dal. I'll explain to you how I cook the dal. Then I have 1 medium onion chopped fine, 1 medium tomato chopped fine. This is about 1/4 cup of fresh coriander leaves chopped fine, 2 light green chilies chopped fine. These are about 4 cloves of garlic chopped fine, a few curry leaves, say about 7 to 8 curry leaves. You can keep them whole or chop them, and 1 inch of ginger chopped fine. Now I've taken a pan and I've heated about 1 tablespoon of oil in the pan. And once the oil is nice and hot, we're going to add half a teaspoon of mustard seeds, also known as mori or rye, Once the mustard seeds begin to splutter, we're going to add half a teaspoon of cumin seeds or jeera, followed by half a teaspoon each of asafoetida or hinga and turmeric powder or haldi. Next, we're going to add the ginger that we've chopped fine. You can even add it grated, the curry leaves, as well as the garlic. Now fry the ginger and of course the green chilies too. And we're going to fry all of this really well so that it flavors the oil well, as well as the rawness of the ginger and the garlic goes away. Now for my dal, what I did is I took 1 cup of tur dal, washed it well, kept it in about 3 cups of water for about 15 minutes, and then I pressure cooked it for 1 whistle on high and for about 5 to 10 minutes, 10 minutes exactly on a simmer. Okay, now we're going to add 1 medium chopped onion fine. 1 medium onion chopped fine, and we're going to fry the onion really well. So once the cooker gets nice and comes to room temperature, you can take out the dal and then just use a wooden whisk or a regular whisk that you have at home and just whisk the dal till you get a nice smooth consistency. So now we're going to cover and cook all of this bagar till the onions become nice and soft. Now we're going to add the tomato that we had chopped fine. And we're going to fry the tomato too. So we want to cook the tomato so it should be nice and soft. So fry the tomato also for another 2 to 3 minutes. So once you whisk the cooked dal, you should get a very smooth consistency like I showed you in the beginning of the video. That is the consistency we're looking for. Now I'm going to add half of the coriander leaves that we chopped fine. That adds a nice flavor to the bagar. Now mix everything really well and now cover and cook this for about 2 minutes till the tomatoes become nice and soft, so that when you press them down with your spatula, they immediately, become a kind of a paste. They should not be very firm. They should be nice and soft and mushy. So get the tomatoes cooked really, really well. That way you'll get a nice smooth kind of a dal. You won't get, a big pieces of tomato. So this is the consistency of the dal, and this has got the water also that we cook the dal in. So we're going to add the dal along with the water. So always ensure that your dal is nicely cooked. You shouldn't have the actual pieces of dal. It should be very smooth and cooked well. And now just mix everything nicely together. Now since we cooked that 1 cup of dal with 3 cups of water, you don't need to add extra water now. So mix everything nicely. Stir it on a low to medium flame. Now we're just going to add half a teaspoon of red chili powder. Mix in the chili powder well. And now we're going to add some salt to taste. And that's about all the ingredients we're going to add for this dal. This is a very simple and light dal, and it goes really well with some rice and some side dish like any vegetable or any non-veg dish also. Or you can just have this plain dal, rice, some mango pickle and some papad and some salad. So just cook the dal for another 5 to 10 minutes. And then garnish it with the remaining fresh coriander that we chopped up fine. And that's it, guys. Your dal gets ready very fast, very quickly, because we've already pre-cooked the dal in the pressure cooker. So you don't need to cook this dal for a very long time. So I'm just going to cover and cook it for another 5 minutes. And that's it. And your lovely dal, your simple dal is all ready to enjoy. So do try out this recipe and do let me brinjal pickle. So now here I've taken one medium-sized brinjal, washed it really well, wiped it dry, and I've cut off the tip of it, and I'm going to cut it lengthwise into half and then again into smaller pieces like this, and then we're going to cube it into medium-sized pieces. We don't want very small pieces, but medium-sized pieces like this. Now I've taken a colander and I've placed a plate below it, and I'm just going to put all the cubes into that colander. Now this is my Nana's recipe, and she used to make it, always in the summertime or just before the monsoons. And you could call this an instant pickle because you could have it the same day. Of course, it matures with age and it tastes even better as you keep it longer. And it has a long shelf life also. So now that I've cut up all of the cubes, I'm just going to sprinkle about 2 tablespoons of salt. Now keep a plate below the colander. And you'll see that we're going to keep it aside for 8 hours, and you'll see that water collects. Keep discarding the water that collects, down this on the plate. And after 8 hours, we're just going to squeeze out all the water. So just squeeze out all the water as much as you can. You can also tie it up into a muslin cloth and then, squeeze it out, because let me caution you, this brinjal, depends, you do get a little bit of itchiness in your hands. So what I did is I just applied a little bit of oil on my hands before I started to squeeze out the water, because I do get a little bit of itchiness. So to avoid that, put a little bit of oil on the palm of your hands. So now we're going to go to the masala paste ingredients that we need for this lovely pickle. So here I have an inch of ginger, 8 cloves of garlic, about a tablespoon of cumin, half a teaspoon of turmeric, about 7 dried red chilies, and half a cup of vinegar. Now I like grinding this masala on my masala stone, because then you don't use any kind of water and it's completely only with vinegar. But you can grind this in your mixer grinder too. But I like to grind it on the masala stone. It just it just reminds me of my childhood, because I used to do this whenever my grandmom used to make the pickle. She used to always ask me to grind the masala, and I love doing this. So you can grind it on your mixer grinder too, but we're not going to use even a drop of water for this pickle. So ensure that your mixer grinder is nice and dry, and you only add vinegar. That way the shelf life of your pickle will also last long. So now we have our masala paste nice and ready and fine. It should be really, really fine. All the chili should be ground well. So just take it out in a bowl or a plate. So now here we have our brinjal with, we've taken out all the water. This is our masala paste. Now besides that, we require just a few ingredients. So here I've taken about 5 large cloves of garlic and I've chopped them really fine. These are about 7 to 8 or maybe more, few curry leaves. This is about half a cup of jaggery, but you can, adjust it as per your taste. And this is about half a tablespoon of Kashmiri chili powder and some salt to taste. Now here I've taken about 1.5 cup of oil in a pan. You do require a little more than, you require oil for this recipe. So now we're going to add the brinjal. See that your oil is nice and hot, and we're going to cook on a low to medium flame. Now we're going to add our brinjal, and we're going to fry the brinjal for at least a whole 2 minutes till the brinjal is nice and fried. So you'll get this kind of a brownish tinge to the brinjal. But this is also very important if you want a nice long shelf life for the pickle. Now once it's done, drain out all the excess oil and put them on a kitchen napkin so that it absorbs all the excess oil. Now to the same oil, I'm going to add the chopped up garlic. Fry the garlic also for a minute till it turns into a little light brown color. Next we're going to add the curry leaves. Now try to use fresh curry leaves for that lovely extra beautiful flavor for the pickle. Now I'm going to add this ground masala paste. And now mix it really nicely into the oil, and then you'll come to know that it's nicely fried because you'll get the aroma of the beautiful spices that we've added, and the vinegar especially. You'll get the lovely smell or the aroma rather of the vinegar. Now I'm going to add this Kashmiri chili powder. This is just added for color, so that you get that nice rich color to the pickle. And now I'm going to add the brinjal that we fried. Mix everything in really nicely. And now we're going to add the jaggery. Now you can add it as per your taste. I'm going with half a cup, but then after mixing up everything and cooking it for about half a minute, you can just do a taste test to see whether you need to add salt, whether you need to add jaggery, whether you need to add a little more of maybe chili powder if you want it a little spicy. So do a taste test. Now I am adding a little bit of salt to taste. And now we're just going to mix everything really well. And I'm just going to cook this mixture on a low to medium flame for about 2 minutes at least. And then we're going to turn off the heat completely and we're going to let the mixture cool completely. Only once the mixture is completely cool, transfer it to a nice, dry and clean glass bottle. And our brinjal pickle is ready. You can have it on the same day. It does taste delicious, but the longer you keep it, it matures and tastes even better. So I hope you like this recipe and I hope you do give it a try. I like to take about 1 cup of rice and I give it a thorough wash, and then I boil it in about 5 cups of water till it's just a little bit less than done. We don't want a very soft and mushy rice. So once our rice is really done, we just put off the flame, cover it, and just strain out all the water like this. So after all the water has been drained out, the rice is nice and loose, it's not sticky, the grains are all separated. So first we're going to start by making the dough for the samosas. So I've taken 1.5 cup of whole wheat flour. To that I'm going to add 7 teaspoons of hot melted ghee or clarified butter. Now knead this or crumble the dough with this hot ghee, and you should be able to hold the flour in your hand. That means the ghee has nicely coated the flour. Now we're going to add a little water at a time and we're going to make this really soft and flexible dough. Something very similar that you would make for karanjis or nyoris. I will leave a link for that. Now you could use maida also, but I'm going with whole wheat flour for these samosas. Now knead the dough nicely for 2 minutes because we want a very flexible dough, because when we are rolling out the dough, we're not going to use any flour. So our dough has to be really, really flexible. And we're going to now, just rest the dough for about 10 to 15 minutes once we have kneaded it. Now after 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of cumin seeds and 1/4 teaspoon of ova or ajwain. Again, knead the dough and just set it aside. Now we'll start working on our filling while the dough is resting. So here I've taken 4 large potatoes and I'm just boiled them. I'll leave the instructions of how to boil the potatoes, and then I'm going to peel them and really mash them well. Then I'm going to add some salt to taste and again mix the potatoes really well with the salt. Now I'm going to take some green chilies. Now I use a mixture of light green chilies and dark green chilies. The ratio is always 2:1. So if I'm using 2 light green chilies, I use 1 dark chili. That will give you the right amount of spice hit. Now altogether I've taken about 10 chilies. I will leave the instructions of how many dark and how many light. And I'm going to make this into a very nice fine paste of the green chilies. Then I'm going to take 1 inch of ginger and grate the ginger really, really well. So now that our prepping is done, let me take you through all the ingredients for the filling. So here we have our mashed potatoes, we have the green chili paste. Here is the grated ginger. Now besides these 3 ingredients that you've already seen, I'm also going to be using 1 teaspoon of Kitchen King masala. This really elevates the flavor of the samosa. 1 teaspoon of roasted coriander or dhania powder. 1 teaspoon of roasted cumin or jeera powder. This is half a teaspoon of just plain cumin seeds. 1 teaspoon of pepper powder. Half a teaspoon of ova. Half a teaspoon of fennel seeds or sauf as we call them. And I'm also going to be using manukas, which are these dark dried grapes. They just add a lovely punch to this samosa filling. Now I'm just going to add the mashed potatoes to a large mixing bowl. Now here in a small kadai, I've added 1 teaspoon of oil or cudler. Once the oil is hot, I'm going to add the cumin seeds, the green chili paste, as well as the ova. And we're going to fry this really well till the green chilies have really fried well and you get the lovely aroma of the green chilies, the ova and the cumin. So say for about half a minute, fry them really well. And now I'm going to add this to my mashed potatoes. So just flatten out the mashed potatoes and add this lovely mixture that we've just fried to the mashed potatoes. Now I'm also going to use these white peas that I've just boiled and set aside. That's completely optional, but it really adds, nice kind of body to the samosa. Now I'm going to add all the ingredients that I mentioned, all the dry powders, grated ginger. So I'm going to be adding all of that. And you can add it to taste also. So once you've added all the powders like the measurements that I have given you, if you find that you need a little bit more of pepper or a little bit more of cumin, you can always add according to your taste. But guys, this tastes just like the samosas that you get outside in restaurants. It's so flavorsome and so delicious. Even the Kitchen King masala just adds a different taste to it. Now these dried manukas is optional, but guys, believe me, it really adds a little bit of sweetness that is needed for this filling. And the vatanas, as you call them, white vatanas, also just boil them for about 15 minutes in water. Don't pressure cook them because then they become very mushy. Soak them for about 20 minutes and then boil them for about 20 minutes. And then of course add the salt as per your taste. And that's our filling. It's all ready. So don't add any coriander, any dhania. It will change the entire taste. Just keep it like this. Only adjust the salt and all the other ingredients to your taste. Mash it up all well. Mix everything nicely together so the potatoes get nicely coated. Now we're going to make small balls, lime-sized balls of the dough. And we're going to roll them like this into an elongated kind of a shape. We don't want a round chapati shape, but a round, like a lotus pad kind of a lotus leaf rather kind of a shape, a long shape like this. This is the perfect one. We're going to cut it in the middle. Now we're going to coat the edges with a little bit of water. Fold it like this. Put water so that it gets bound well. Then just take it into the palm of your hand like a cup like this. And just add about a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons. Don't overfill it or don't underfill it. Just till the brim, leaving a little space. Then again apply a little bit of water and seal the edges. Now it's very important to seal the edges just like we do with karanjis or nyoris. Sealing the edges is very important. Otherwise when you go to fry them, if the filling comes out again, it's a big fiasco. So I'm showing you 2 more. And once you get the hang of it, it'll be very easy to do it. Just ensure that it's sealed well, there are no gaps, there are no holes in the dough. If there are, then just restart again. And you can cut off the extra edges with a knife, or you can keep them if you want a little bit of crispy edges. But seal the edges like this really well. So this is like the perfect samosa. So you can make all of these samosas and keep them aside. You can even store them in a airtight container for a day or two. Don't keep them longer for a day or two in the refrigerator. And whenever hunger strikes, you can just deep fry them. So now that our samosas are ready, I'm just going to heat some oil and I'm just going to deep fry them till they're nice and golden brown in color on a medium to high heat, but keep an eye on it. And then just drain the excess oil on some kitchen napkins and you're all set to go. Now I'll be serving this with a special chutney. I will be sharing that chutney recipe very soon, but it's this typical chutneys that you get with the Punjabi samosas in like real good restaurants. They serve this lovely red a spicy sweet chutney. So look out for that recipe. It will be coming up soon, and if I've already updated it, then uploaded it on my channel, you'll find the link below. So here are our lovely samosas all ready just to be dipped into that lovely sauce and enjoyed while watching your favorite movie or reading your favorite book. So do give this recipe a try and let me know how you liked it.